The ICD-10 code sets are not a simple update of the ICD-9 code set. There are fundamental changes within the ICD-10 codes that make them very different from ICD-9. Of course, it is well told that the number of diagnosis codes will grow with ICD-10. Those numbers are from 14,000 with ICD-9 to well over 68,000 with ICD-10. Along with this increase, though, comes the need for more specific documentation from physicians about the care being provided to their patients. A good example of this is with laterality, specific codes that will distinguish left and right. There are other differences like this, all which make the transition from ICD-9 to ICD-10 far more complex than simply accommodating more codes. Here are a few of the differences. In addition to laterality and the increase in actual codes, ICD-10 brings about the use of consistent, modernized terminology. This means the use of full code titles which will appropriately reflect current advances in medical knowledge and technology. With an increase in the actual size of the code itself, which is the addition of 2 characters, ICD-10 helps to overcome another problem that has long plagued ICD-9, that is, room for additional codes. With ICD-9, there are many code chapters that are already full. In some cases, new codes were added to different code chapters, ultimately complicating how these codes could be located. With more available codes, it is less likely that chapters will run out of codes in the future. Combination codes allow for the reporting of a single code to express multiple elements of the diagnosis. With ICD-9, this would have been reported with 2 or more separate codes. And finally, the increased specificity of ICD-10 codes is far more flexible, which means that emerging diseases can be quickly incorporated. Well, there are plenty of challenges that come with the ICD-10 implementation, but surprisingly, building support for the technical components of ICD-10 are fairly straightforward. To accommodate the new codes, the length of the code has been increased 2 characters and some standardization has been put into place, which dictates where alpha characters can be used. MDeveryware systems have long been compliant with the extended character length of ICD-10, and our Practice First platform has been constructed with native ICD-10 support. A system's ability to store these codes as part of a patient encounter should not be too problematic. Of course, there will be some legacy systems in the market that may need to undergo some fundamental changes in the way data is stored. I would expect that these will be few and far between. I believe the real challenges with implementing ICD-10 will come from the workflow perspective. As I mentioned, storage of ICD-10 codes in a system is not the difficulty. What becomes problematic is the mechanism that the system offers the provider for selecting these new codes. With a code set that more than quadruples in size, gone are the days of memorizing a few frequently used codes, gone are the days of the super bill, and gone are the days of a tidy my favorites list. Systems must now rely more on clinical context and keywords rather than lists in the hopes for a user with a good memory. Remember, there is no clear mapping between ICD-9 and ICD-10. The expanded code set means codes are not one-to-one. In most cases, the relationship will be one-to-many, or one ICD-9 code could have many distinct possibilities in the ICD-10 world. Allowing the provider to navigate through these new variations with precision, but also with speed and efficiency, is key to a successful system migration. At MDeverywhere, we've kept this mission at the forefront. By integrating a robust language engine into our code selection process, we're able to leverage a number of different code sets, like SNOMED-CT, ICD-9, ICD-10, GEMS mappings, and others. We're positioned to offer a very effective solution for searching and selecting diagnosis, without any impediment to the speed that our user base has been accustomed to. The language engine sits behind our client-facing software. In many respects, will be transparent to our users, which is exactly what we're aiming for. If they are fluent with ICD-9, they can use that as a starting point. The same goes for ICD-10. If codes are a mystery, there are NLP or natural language parsing capabilities built into the engine that will allow our users to use simple clinical keywords to find the appropriate diagnosis. Numerous dictionaries, like I mentioned before, are indexed in our database and are available for searching. Here's a look at how MDeveryware has implemented natural language parsing alongside multiple code sets to deliver an effective ICD-10 selection experience. The core application, Practice First, is used to accept any combination of known codes, clinical terms, and logic operators. This is pushed in real time to our language engine, which parses this input and constructs queries which comb through millions and millions of records across many code sets to find the codes that are relevant to the request. These are passed back to the Practice First application, and code selection becomes a simple one-click operation without having to scroll through hundreds of potential codes. Once selected, information is passed through our claim scrubber, where over 13 million payer rules are evaluated against the encounter data. From there, the information is transferred to MDeverywhere's EDI gateway, where it's packaged into 5010 compliant transactions and sent electronically to the payers for adjudication. The ICD-10 code sets are not simply increased and renumbered ICD-9 code sets. The move to ICD-10 will not be easy. The ICD-10 code sets include greater detail, changes in terminology, and expanded concepts for injuries, laterality, and other related factors. The complexity of ICD-10 provides many benefits because of the increased level of detail conveyed in those codes. The complexity also underscores the need to be adequately trained on ICD-10 in order to fully understand reporting changes that will come with the new code sets. The migration to ICD-10 is a huge undertaking. It will affect virtually every aspect of the healthcare environment. The transition from 4010 to 5010 HIPAA transactions back in 2012 was a precursor to the ICD-10 adoption that will be becoming effective in 2014. While 5010 is now in widespread use, its rollout was not without significant problems. Payers and providers both experienced problems with this transition. It is unlikely that the ICD-10 migration will be trouble-free. It is important that providers and physician organizations are working with reputable companies who have been engaged in the proper planning activities to mitigate the risks associated with such a significant change. At MDeverywhere, we take this transition seriously. We've been actively engaged, making sure our systems are compliant, but most importantly, that they are usable with minimal impact to the provider's workflow, but with the effectiveness required for maximum reimbursement of the services rendered.